out in the application. So first, I'll just start with the about me. They really just want to know about yourself. So your bio, what has led you to become an entrepreneur. So you have to give a good story. You can't just say, oh, I thought that it would be good to sell so and so product, and that's why I decided to do this. I think you should start from your background, what you've done, what makes you to be passionate about whatever it is that you're actually focused on, and what problem are you trying to solve, or what did you see, what gap did you see that you were trying to solve, and why did you start whatever venture you started or you're looking to start. So really, it's about what has led you through your journey, what has influenced you as you've gone through life, and why have you come to where you are. Not just saying, oh, I thought it would be good to sell clothes because I hope to make some money. Really, it's really about learning who you are and how this would influence your journey. If, for instance, if you say, for me personally, some of the things that have impacted me through my journey is, one, I grew up in the north in Nigeria, and over time I saw various incidents that just made me to be passionate about development, and this has led me in the various ventures that I've gone through. So really, think through your story, think through what you've been through, and how that impacts what you're trying to do, and how that has brought you to where you are. So I think that's very important. The next point I would go to quickly is under leadership skills and experience from running the business. So basically, they're asking you, what experience do you have? What have you done as a leader? And how have you been able to maybe bring this experience potentially into this business venture that you're looking to start up? So the first thing I would think about is go through my experiences and see at what point have I been a leader. Was it in church? Was it in high school? Was it in university? Is it maybe at a current role I'm currently doing? Is it at a role I did previously? It doesn't have to be anything fancy or anything out of this world. But just think of opportunities where you've had to potentially lead a team, even if it's not a team, even if it's at home. If you're a leader in any way, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. But just think about those experiences. So during those leadership opportunities, were you able to learn time management? Were you able to learn people skills? Are you able to manage resources? Maybe you were in a church program, you had to be the one to organize maybe the participants. Whatever it is, don't underlook any experience you have when you're telling these stories. And then also, I think there's a question around something that you've been able to build or achieve personally, something impressive that you've been able to do. So I think really just think through your experiences. It could be as small as teaching children how to learn a new skill. It could be maybe leading a musical society. It could be a past work experience that you had and something that was unique. So it's really about thinking about your experiences and seeing how you were able to use whatever skills or resources at your disposal to do something unique. The next thing, I'm mindful of time, so I'll just try and go very quickly. The next thing is your elevator pitch. So basically, your elevator pitch is a very quick summary of what it is your business is and what you hope to achieve, basically. So if you were in a very quick ride with the richest man in the world or Dangote or someone, and just had less than 1 minute to say, oh, this is what I do and this is what I hope to achieve, what would you say? So for instance, are you trying to start a food business that would provide maybe food for children to help them to be nourished, because you've learned that over time a lot of children maybe in a certain area are malnourished or something like that. What is it about what you're doing that is unique? What are you trying to achieve? Very quickly. So it doesn't have to be anything elaborate. Moreover, it's just a few words. So really, just what is it you're doing? Who is the target market? Don't forget, always include who your target market is and whatever it is you're doing. What do you hope to achieve from what you're doing? So it's not that you're just doing it for the sake of it, or you hope to achieve something. Then when you are required to go into more details, then you can now describe the product or service that you're offering. What kind of product is it? who uses it, who is your market. You can describe the specifics. If there are maybe 3 products that you're providing, you can talk about that a bit. Another thing that's very important to talk about is the revenue model. So, for instance, is it a subscription-based product? Is this something that you're going to be getting paid for monthly? Is it a daily payment? Or what exactly? Is this something that you just buy upfront and that's it? Is it something that people can buy as a gift for other people? So you need to think about how that product is going to go to market as you're describing or providing an overview of your product or service. So don't forget, who's your target market? How do you intend to sell it to that target market? Is it going to be one-off sales? Is it going to be monthly? Is it going to be, how's it going to be basically? So don't forget to put that in when you're writing that. Then there's a portion that talks about wowing the reviewers or the judges. So what is new about your product? What is innovative? Why is it not like every other product that they can get on the street? And that's one thing I think a lot of people don't think about. When you think about a product or service, how are you going to differentiate it from everything else that is out there already if it's been done? And if it's not being done, how is it unique? How is it going to solve a certain problem? And how is it going to be hard for other people to replicate it? So it could be that, for instance, what is unique about your product? Maybe it's going to showcase Africa to the world. For instance, if you're doing, let's say, clothes, and then you say you're going to focus on a certain, maybe for instance, ashoke, you're going to use ashoke materials to make certain dresses. These dresses are going to be exported to different countries, and it will help and maybe you're going to use maybe some online platform, right, to deliver this goods. So what's unique about your product? Okay, one, I'm using ashoke, for instance, if no one else is using it, and that helps to maybe improve the sales of even the people down the value chain. So where do I get my raw materials from? I help to make that part of the economy vibrant. I sell my product in a certain place that has never been done before. Maybe I'm going to be selling in one unique shop, maybe Selfridges or something, and it has not been done before. I'm going to be using a certain platform, or just something that just makes your product different. And so when you're thinking about your business, always think about what makes it different from what everyone else is doing. You can be doing the same thing that everyone is doing, but you're doing it differently. Is it going to be the way you distribute it, or is it going to be your customers, or maybe you're going to target a certain class of customers? So just think through it. What makes your business special and different, and how are you going to stand out from everyone else that is doing it? Then the next area is like the problem solved. I think this is like the most important part of your application. If you don't get any part of your application right, this one is very important. So for any proposal I receive or any business I'm reviewing, I want to understand what problem you're solving. Honestly, if you're just launching a business, just okay, because I think it's nice to have, it's nice to, if it's not solving a problem or meeting a real need, honestly, that is not going to go very far. So when thinking about your product, if it's something that is not meeting a need, or maybe if it's a luxury, I mean, that's nice to have, but it might not be good for this particular audience. So that's something to note. So especially for people like giving a grant or seed capital or impact investing. So they want to see what problem you're solving with your product. It doesn't have to be that, oh, you're suddenly alleviating poverty in the 10 states in Nigeria. No. It could be something as simple as helping, or maybe women to develop a certain skill, or to help them to market their product. It could be anything, but just know that your product has to solve a problem. The next one is around the stage of development. So is it just an idea for now? You have maybe a pilot you've already launched, or are you already in operations? So you have to explain what stage your business is at, and maybe what you need to do next in order to go to the next steps. For me, I remember I said what I needed to do next, and the really key next steps for me to launch my business. Then this is a second area I would say is very, very important, your addressable market. So anybody that is looking at your proposal or your business plan wants to see how big the market for your product is. So, and now I think you have to put numbers in. So for instance, If you're focusing on maybe teenagers, then you have to do some research. How many teenagers are in Nigeria? Okay, let's say there are 30 million teenagers in Nigeria between the age of 13 and 19. Of those teenagers, how many are in Lagos? For instance, if Lagos is your target market, let's say there are 5 million. Of those 5 million, how many do you think your product is going to be realistically able to target? Let's say you say, okay, I'm going to do 5% of that market. So I think you have to be really specific as to who your target market is and numbers around that you've done your research. No one wants you to come and say, oh, there's 180 something people in Nigeria and I'm going to be able to serve that whole population. I don't think it's realistic, and I don't think it will help your business plans. For instance, if you're saying, okay, maybe your product is around fitness or something like that, and you say, okay, in Nigeria, you do your research. Research has shown that maybe 30% of Nigerians are overweight. Of that 30%, maybe another 5% of those live in the southwestern region, which I want to focus on. And I will only focus on, let's say, 100 or 200 in the first year, 400 in the second year, and 500 in the third year. So those kind of things, people would know that you actually thought about what you're trying to do, and that you've thought it through, and you potentially been realistic. Don't overestimate, and also be mindful of if your business is only targeting a very tiny market, because then again, someone will wonder as to what the impact is. Another one I think is very important. Now, the third important thing I'm going to say is your revenue model. Any investor in your business is going to want to understand how do you get your money. You understand? What are the sources of revenue? What are you offering? What is the price for the product? Who is paying for the product? So for instance, you might be doing a product for old people, but you know that it's actually their children or their grandchildren that are going to be buying those products. How many products do you have? Okay, I have 3 products. One is for people aged 10 to 15. Another is for people aged 11 to or whatever age group. So you should know clearly who your market is. Okay, I expect to sell my product for this price, either on a one-off sales basis. Is it going to be a rental solution? Okay, I expect that people will pay to use my product. They're going to list my product and pay me a daily rate, a weekly rate, a monthly rate. So it should be very clear to you how you are making money in that business and who is going to pay for that service. That's very important. Another thing that's quite important as well is your marketing strategy. How do you intend to get your product to the market? So are you going to be using maybe other platforms, online platforms, to get your product to the market? How are you going to advertise? Are you going to use social media? Are you going to use print? Are you going to do more personal selling? For instance, phone calls, or are you going to do certain campaigns? So you have to think how you're actually going to market and distribute your product. And it should be very clear. Another important thing I would note is your competition. So when you're doing business, you can't live in a vacuum and expect that, I'm doing this business, nobody's going to, I'm doing it best, I'm doing the best, I'm the best at this. Nobody's going to buy that story if you cannot demonstrate it. So for me, when I did my application, I clearly identified how my business was different from every other within the market. Whether they were global, I identified global businesses and even local ones doing things that were related, and stated how my product is different from them. So you have to do your research. Don't assume that you have the best product and there are no people competing for that market. Your potential investors or anyone providing funding wants to know that you've thought about everything in terms of who am I competing against, how am I doing it differently, and all of that.
Hi,
so another question. Yes, interrupt, please.
Yes, please. Can you tell us a bit more about your business? So is your business a for-profit business or a non-profit business? What sort of product did you pitch? Because I want them to also have like a practical idea of the sort of project you pitched and how it was pitched. Yeah. Guys, you can send your questions to the chat column and I'll ask your questions on your behalf. All right, you can
Okay. Okay, so my business basically is a subscription-based product that helps to enhance global awareness in children between the ages of 5 to 12, helping them learn about different parts of the world on a monthly basis, different languages, cultures. So basically, we have both online products and physical products. So basically, what we aim to achieve through the business is to enhance global awareness in children and then even in their parents, to help to raise their confidence and to help them to just interact more in the global world that we live in today. So basically, that was my business. I identified different revenue models. So I identified that potentially parents would buy these products. I'll sell to schools as well, governments as well. I could partner with governments who want to actually supply to public schools. And then I even went as far as identifying future ways that I could get money from this product. So basically, that was the product. So how did I differentiate myself from other products, as I was just explaining? So so there are one or two similar businesses that are global. However, none of them are focused on Africa. None of them are one local. Two, none of them actually have anything relating to Africa. So the idea was to actually start with Africa, start with Nigeria, and then other countries in Africa, as well as other countries in the world, and sort of provide an Afrocentric vibe to it in general. So that was how I determined that I was going to differentiate my business. So as I go along, I would tell you how I how I used my business. Yes, so I'll give more details as I go along and how I sort of structured it when I was going along.
Thank you.
So in terms of milestones, no problem. So in terms of milestones, when they're asking what are your current milestones, so what have you done? Have you developed maybe a prototype? Have you started your business? Are you already operating? Is it just an idea they're trying to flesh out? So at that point for me, I had already developed most of the content, right, for the business over a few years or months. So I already had most of that. And the next step for me was to actually identify vendors and actually select. So I actually explained that. So your business doesn't have to be operating already. Just explain exactly where you are with your products and what next you need to do. I actually gave timelines. Okay, within so and so period, I'm going to be able to select vendors I need, and I just gave clear timelines to how I was going to progress. Then in terms of how much has been invested to date, I mean, just be realistic and just be truthful. I don't think there's any need to actually lie about anything in the application. Just see how much you've invested. And then remember, when you're calculating how much you've invested, think about things you've had to spend on. Do you have to buy a laptop? Do you have to spend on internet on a monthly basis? Do you have to get staff? Do you have to get workspace? Do you have to transport yourself to and fro from wherever for your business? So basically, those kinds of things you need to think about. Everything you've spent on your business. You do have to do business registration. Do you have a website? Just think about everything that takes up that sucks the money in your business, and then calculate it and put it out there. In terms of, so there's another question about monthly expenses. So you might say, oh, my business maybe it's not operating or it's operating. Mine was not operating at that point. But what I said was, when I'm running at full capacity, I expect to be spending this on a monthly basis. And I also explained what other expenses I expect to have. So it doesn't matter, whatever question you get, right? No matter what point your business is at, you can always find a way to answer the question to actually convince the reviewers that you know what you're doing. So exactly. So there was also something about revenue. How much revenue have you generated? At that point, I hadn't generated revenue, but I told them what I expected to generate in the first year. And I could have gone further to say, okay, because at that point, to be honest, before I applied for TF, I actually had a business plan that I had already done. So to be honest, it was quite easy because I was just taking the things from my business plan and putting it here. But even if you don't have a business plan, this is a good time to sort of start thinking through these things, because if you even get into the program, your business plan eventually is going to have all of these things. So it will even be much easier for you when you've thought through this. So don't just put things because you're just applying and you want to get selected. Think that this is your business plan and this is how you're going to actually implement the business.
Can I ask a question?
Yes, please go ahead.
So was there a business template you used, or did the application come with its own business template?
So the application has an application form, and then you have all of these questions, right, that you have to fill in. So by the time you have to fill in these questions, you have to think through it. But if you get into the program, when you have to actually deliver your actual business plan, there's a template. There's a template and there's a model template, so financial model. So for you to be able to put your assumptions in, and then flesh out your entire financial model, and then fill your business plan. The business plan will just tell you what they expect to see in each section. So if it's your market analysis, if it's your competitor analysis, if it's your revenue, operating model, so all of those things, it will just tell you what they expect to see in those things. And to be honest, this application form almost replicates what that actual business plan is at the end of the day.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So there's a question around break-even volume. Maybe if you're not finance savvy, you might struggle with this. But basically, that means that how many products or how much services do you need to deliver in order for your revenue, so the amount you get into your business, to be able to cover the costs that you have to like spend on your business. Do you understand?
Yeah.
So your break-even, basically, that's one. So your break-even volume is basically that number of products. So if you're selling t-shirts, you need to sell 50 t-shirts to be able to cover all the costs that you incur in your business. So including cost of transportation, distribution, and all of that. So you need to be able to identify it. Okay, if I sell, let me give you a clear example. If I'm selling t-shirts, right, and one t-shirt costs 10 naira, right, and I'm going to sell 50 t-shirts, right, so that's 500 naira. What are my costs? Okay, I need to distribute maybe for 10 naira. I need to actually produce the t-shirts, right, for let's say 5 naira per t-shirt. So that's already 40 naira. So basically, you have to outline all your costs and then identify at what volume will I be able to sell my product and not make a loss. Do you understand? So sell my product, cover my cost, and I'm just okay, even if I'm not making a profit. Do you understand?
And it's okay for these things to be projections, right?
Definitely. Mine were all projections. I had not started operating at that point, so it was all projection.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah. The next question is your break-even revenue. So just as I said, break-even volume, how much do you need to make in naira terms or in dollar terms, whatever currency you're using, at this volume that you stated above? So already, the initial question was break-even volume. So if your break-even volume was 10 t-shirts, then basically, I said 50 t-shirts, right? And the cost is, and you sell it for 10 naira. So break-even volume is basically the cost, or rather the price you sell it for times the volume. So that's the 500 I mentioned before. So revenue, right? Revenue is basically your volume times your price. If you are providing services, don't feel that you're left out. Okay, so I have to do 50 trainings, and each of my trainings costs 5,000 naira. So your 50 trainings times your 5,000 naira will give you your revenue, right? But this is assuming that 50 trainings, right, is what you need to be able to cover your base cost. So your fixed cost, that's the cost of developing your training materials, and then your operational cost, so cost of generator, cost of internet, cost of your staff, everything. So basically, that's how you calculate your break-even volume and break-even revenue. I can come back to this if there are any questions around it, but let me just try and get through the rest of it. So business impact. So basically, what kind of impact would your business have on your community? Is it going to create jobs? Is it going to create maybe some revenue? So for me, let me just give you an example on like how I did mine. So for me, in terms of impact, right, I said that it was going to, so by the time I generate revenue, right, to help to boost the economy, I'm going to be adding more money into the economy. Another thing I talked about was literacy, because my product sort of is like a geo-literacy product. So basically, you're going to be helping to raise, improve the literacy rate. So employment, are you going to be employing people? So are you going to be manufacturing? So are you going to employ suppliers? So what kind of employment are you going to create? It might be logistics, people that are going to help you deliver your products. It might be your people, raw materials you're going to be getting from farmers. If you're into agriculture, for instance, you're actually creating jobs. So think about along the value chain, right? Every way in which your product, delivering that product, is going to create some form of employment, right? Then, for me also, inequality was important, because for me, I was helping to bridge the gap, right, between the upper class, or people that are able to travel around the world and able to learn about everything, people that honestly, they're just living in one small community. They're barely able to, they go to school, but they don't really learn much. They don't even have access to internet, maybe, and they don't really they don't really have the opportunity to learn more about the world that you're engaged. So for me, that was one of it. So you just have to think of it. I mean, if you have questions around that, think about it. What kind of impact is your product going to make? What difference is it going to make in the lives of the people that actually benefit from it and anyone else? Then another good question is about how you intend to leverage the benefits of the program to impact your business. So there are a few things you can say. The 12-week program, for a lot of people that have not been involved in business, is very useful. It takes you through every single aspect of your business. So you can talk about that and say or something about how useful the 12-week program will be to you. You learn about everything, marketing, product development. You learn about everything, contracts, signing contracts with your suppliers, financiers. You learn about almost everything over that 12 weeks. So that would be good, especially for people that don't have a lot of experience. The network is also very important. For me, I felt it was very important because they are almost part of a community. So the opportunities that are shared within that community. For instance, when Emmanuel Macron was in Nigeria, TF entrepreneurs were invited to be part of that. So, there are so many opportunities like that come through being part of such a network. So just think about what you want to gain from the product. Do you want to get a good platform to launch your product? Do you want to just think about what you're going to benefit from it? Then another question was the top 3 challenges that face your business if you're operating or to launch. For me, one of the major problems I had was finding reliable vendors and sourcing materials locally. It was almost a nightmare, but we've been able to get through. Things are getting better and we're able to find local vendors. Another thing I thought was a challenge, and still remains a challenge, not all the time, is getting the right personnel for me. So finding the right people to work with. A lot of times, a lot of people are not that committed. A lot of people are not very experienced. They don't take initiative. So, and to align your vision with someone can be challenging. A third challenge I had was financing. So, sometimes it's difficult to raise financing for business. It's not all that difficult these days, but for a lot of business, for a lot of people, they find it challenging. So don't think of generic challenges, think of specific challenges. So if you are into, for instance, you're exporting farm produce, do you have problems with logistics? So are you able to transport your products safely from wherever you're bringing it to wherever you're taking it to? So just think about your business specifically. Then I think we're almost getting to the end. So there was also the question about what I hope to achieve from the program. So this was very closely related to how I intend to leverage the benefits to improve my business. So I had similar things around the mentorship that I was going to receive. Unfortunately, I didn't really have a mentor during the program, but for me, the mentorship for a lot of people is usually very useful. Do you understand? Especially if you don't really have experience in developing a business, it's very useful. What else did I say? Yeah, I think both the same things. Funding is very important. So for me, it was very good to be able to get the funding I needed to test out the business model. And then for business skills, what business skills do you need to learn about? For me, I think I had it covered most in terms of financial or business related aspects. So the thing I wanted was actually in terms of marketing. And so for you, it might be communication. It could be financing, learning how to actually raise financing. It could be understanding how to segment your market or to identify customers. So it could be anything. So whatever your challenge is, or the skills you think you need most to be able to implement your business. For instance, if you're into energy and if maybe you're not an expert and you need like technical partnership, that might be a challenge. So that might be a skill you need to learn. So just think about it, whatever your business is, and think about what skills you need and what skills you don't have to be able to implement. So I think I've run through most of the questions. I think I can take questions for now. I think we have about 10 minutes left. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Guys, everyone, you heard her, right? I don't know if anyone has any questions. I wanted to do a quick recap on some of the things that she had shared. She basically talks about the importance of writing the application, not just because you're looking for a $5,000 grant, but because you also need to understand the workings of your business. So this is something I say all the time, even for a grant or a proposal you're pitching for, always see it from what are you getting out of it? It's an opportunity to really question what you're doing. So please try not to be, I don't know what kind, looking for a kind word to use, but try not to be maybe too relaxed. Okay, that's a kind word. Don't be too relaxed. Try and see it that it's an, even whether or not you get into the program, it's an opportunity to thoroughly analyze your business and if you're even ready for that grant. So I don't know if you have any questions, but that was something very important she stated that I wanted to highlight again. She talked about, think of the impact of your business and the impact it has on the value chain. So from the lady who cuts it in the forest, sells you the papers, down to when you purchase it and who you are empowering all through that business chain or that business line, you know, value chain, and how it is adding value to the society. Think about your marketing strategy. How are you going to sell what this beautiful idea that you have packaged? What's the plan to sell it? How much are you investing in advertising? Where and how would you be advertising? She also said something very important. She said, it doesn't matter if it's a new venture, it doesn't matter if it is an old venture, as long as you can convince the judges and you can make correct projections to show that you have gone through the process. We're going to put up a video tomorrow. It was our interview with the then CEO of Tony Elumelu Foundation, Paminda. And apparently this is the application forms is being sorted by an external party. I think it's these very popular guys at
Accenture.
Sorry?
Accenture.
I think it's Accenture.
Accenture, because they reviewed the business plans.
Yes, I think it's Accenture. I think all applications are being reviewed by external parties. So this is not a case of, oh, I know somebody working there, or no, people who got it know somebody. Let's demystify all that thought from our minds. She's told me on that day, you just need to put together a strong application that is convincing. That's all you need. And it was really encouraging to hear her say, it doesn't matter if your project is new. It doesn't matter if your project is old. Just show that there is a product and there's a need and there's a problem you're solving. And, you know, hopefully all that will tie in together. She also said we should be very truthful. Please be very honest. I know sometimes, in fact, there's something that just happened recently, and in course of reviewing that on that platform, I was sharing with some people that in your bid to sometimes sound very important and very well accomplished, you might end up kicking yourself out of the program, and they'll be like, we don't need this kind of people. Ujunwa, am I right? Please, I don't know if you want to. I don't know if you want to write on that.
Yeah. So I think it's also good to be very truthful about your business, especially don't make up stories. Like some of these things, people can check them out online. Don't say you're in partnership with one company that you're not in. And so people, they check these things out. And sometimes when it doesn't seem true, to be honest, it comes through when it's not true. So just be honest, be sincere. Put together a powerful application. Doesn't mean that you shouldn't make yourself look good, but don't say things that are clearly untrue just to try to get.
Please, that's very important, because she's very right. There was something I went through recently, and I found out that they actually went to LinkedIn to check out my profile. I know how LinkedIn tells you, Ujunwa just checked out your profile. They said that company checked out my profile, and I smiled, because if I was lying, if they would have seen it. Even before I go back to do the correction, probably they've already checked it and they've seen what they are looking for. So let's be honest in our application. I don't know if anyone has any additional question. If you'd like to say anything else, if you feel there's something you can say to us that will be useful to us while applying, please let me know. I will unmute you and you can share with the house. You know, if you have any question, we're very open to take your questions. Thank you very, very, very much, Juma. I really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted, because I know that there's a lot of work involved in grant writing. It's not a very interesting thing to do. It's easy to talk than to write. So thank you so much for letting us know what to expect.
It's okay.
Yeah, so do you guys have any questions for her? Does anyone have a question? I'm going to unmute everybody now. If you have a question, please let me know and we can take your question.
I think Joy has a question.
Okay, please shoot.
Joy,
you can ask your question.
When I was finished.
Hello, Joy.
Come on, take give me change. Give me change.
Okay.
Or maybe the person can just type it. If the person
Yes,
can speak.
please. That may be better if you can just type it.
Oh, 200.
All right. So I don't think I'm not seeing. Yes. So I don't think there's a question at the moment. You can please follow Ujunwa at Ujunwa Ojemeni, right?
Yes, on all
LinkedIn.
platforms. All platforms, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter, Ujunwa Ojemeni.
Awesome. Then, it's also us Donors for Africa. If you're interested in being part of our email listing where you get some training and basically development opportunities and information, please feel free to click the link and just sign up. This video is also recorded. So Joy is saying, I want to know, on your bio, does one have to write in third person or first person? Uju?
Okay. So for this one, actually, I wrote in first person for this. To be honest, I wrote, I did this, I have done this. Just because they said, tell us about yourself and what led you to become an entrepreneur. If it was like a typical bio, like a bio where your profile, where you actually send out, I would typically do it in third person. For this one, I just felt they needed to hear it more personally. Although I don't think it makes a difference as long as you actually just explain. Do you understand? I don't think it makes a difference whether you write in the first person or in third person. I think as long as you communicate the message, this is me, this is what I've done, this is what has led me to where I am today, this is the problem I identified, this is what I'm going to solve it, this is my experience, this is basically, and it's just 200 words, to be honest, you can't really say much, but yeah, I did it in first person when I applied, but I don't think it's an issue if you do it in third person.
Awesome. Joy, I hope you're clear. I know you write bios differently, so depending on what is being requested for. In fact, some people would actually give you a template of what they want the bios to look. There's a particular program in the US, they give you their templates, they give you a separate sheet where they tell you don't write this, don't write is, don't write this, they'll tell you what not to put in the application. But she is saying for the Tony Elumelu Foundation application, you can actually write in first, second, or third person. So I hope that helps as well. So tomorrow we're sharing the video where we interviewed Perminda. She talked extensively about the application process as well. So you can also catch that video and watch it and be strong. So she's also asking for idea business. Are you writing as if the business is already in existence or what you hope to achieve?
Except for the business idea.
Yeah.
Right? Are you writing it as though it's already operational or what you hope to achieve? It depends on where your business is. So if you're already operating, by all means, say what you're doing, Mm-hmm. And even when you say what you're doing, also say what your plans are. So I have done, in 2018, we're able to sell 200 T-shirts to children or whatever. And then in 2019, this is what we plan to do. We intend to do 100 in the first quarter or however much space you have, and I intend to do maybe over the next 5 years. Our goal is to do 300. So whatever it is, if you're already operating, say what you've achieved. If you're yet to launch, say what you intend to achieve. It's no issues. When I submitted my applications, it was all projections. Every single thing was a projection. So if you're already operating, say what you've achieved and what you intend to achieve.
Says okay. Thank you very much. All right, Joy, I'm glad that was helpful. Any other questions for us? Any other questions? We'll be disappearing in a few seconds if they don't cut us off themselves. So I'm going to send the replay to everyone who signed up for this class. I'm going to send you the replay so you can watch it later on. And for those who had difficulties hearing some parts of the training, I hope the replay helps as well. You can also request, if you run a full-fledged nonprofit, even if you run a business, if you also run a business, you can actually request a free video on the 10 different things on your checklist that you should be looking to sort out this year if you're really interested. Yes. Perpetual, thank you so much. MM, thank you so much. If you guys don't have any questions,
it was great to be here. Thank you, Chidi, for the opportunity.
Thank you.
And if anyone wants to reach out to me privately to work with them on, depending on my time schedule, I mean, it will be for a fee, definitely. But I mean, if there's any specific business needs going forward, I'm ready to consider it. Yeah.
So I'm saying it again, like she's
depending on my time schedule.
She's available for a small fee, or no, not a small fee, for a fee to work with anyone who needs her guidance in putting together a strong application. Let me tell you guys my motto for 2019. Be result-oriented. Every positive thing you need to do to help you get results, please do it. If you need a coach, find a coach. If you need guidance, pay for it. If you need to shop in a class, pay for it. You end up adding value to the things you actually pay for. So please, if you need help, whatever fee you're going to pay is a small fee compared to $5,000 if you make the cut. And if you
I think that the business coaching is beyond this program. In fact,
exactly.
is even as you go along for other things in terms of structuring your business properly. So it's not really limited to this project, to be honest. I mean, but overall, as you go forward, even after you've gotten the program, even later, if you just need guidance as you structure your business, yeah. So not necessarily even for this, but I mean, as you go ahead with launching your business and thinking through your business, it's very important to have coaches for every area of your life in general.
Thank you so much once again, Ujunwa. We appreciate you. Thank you, everyone. Let me let you guys rest. Those of us showing up in the office tomorrow, thank you guys so much for joining the class. Yoga Book, Ugochi, UC, Perpetua, Joy, Ezigbo, Ujunwa. Thank you so much. A lot of people couldn't join in. I'm getting all these messages on my phone. I guess they'll all get the replay, after the class. So have a nice night. Thank you guys for signing up to the class, and I hope you found it useful.
All right, Chidi. Speak soon. Bye.
Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.